On August 6, 1945, a man survived the first atomic bomb ever used in war. 3 days later, he walked into work in a different city and survived the second one too. This isn't fiction. This is Tsutomu Yamaguchi, the only person officially recognized by Japan as a survivor of both atomic bombings. And the bombs weren't even the most remarkable part of his story. Stick around, because what he did with the next 65 years of his life is the real reason people still talk about him. Rewind to the summer of 1945. Japan is losing the war, and everyone knows it. Cities across the country have already been leveled by conventional bombing. But Hiroshima is still standing, a working military and industrial hub, home to about 350,000 people. Tsutomu Yamaguchi is 29 years old. He's an engineer for Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, and he's spent the last 3 months in Hiroshima on a business trip, helping design oil tankers. Today is supposed to be his last day in the city. He's packed. He's got his train ticket. He's heading home to Nagasaki, to his wife Hisako and their infant son. At around 8 a.m., he's walking toward the shipyard to say goodbye to a colleague. And that's when he sees something in the sky. A single American B-29 bomber. Its name, the Enola Gay. He watches 2 small parachutes drop from the plane. He has no idea what they are. At 8:15 a.m., 600 meters above the city, the bomb detonates. Its name is Little Boy. It's the first nuclear weapon ever used against people. Yamaguchi is roughly 3 kilometers from ground zero. The blast wave throws him to the ground. His eardrums rupture. The left side of his face and arms are severely burned. Debris and glass tear into him. Within a minute, an estimated 70,000 people are dead. He doesn't know what just happened. Nobody in Hiroshima does. There's no context for this yet. No news reports, no explanation. As far as anyone there knows, the sun itself might have exploded. Yamaguchi has one thought: get home. He spends the night in a bomb shelter with other survivors. The next morning, badly burned, he makes his way to a station that's somehow still running trains, and boards one heading for Nagasaki. He arrives home the next day, bandaged and in pain. His family is horrified. He tries to explain what happened. A single bomb, one flash, an entire city gone in an instant. To people who weren't there, it sounds less like a war story and more like science fiction. But burns don't lie. So the next morning, still wrapped in bandages, Yamaguchi does something that says everything about the era, and honestly, about him. He goes back to work. At the Mitsubishi office in Nagasaki, his supervisor asks him to explain his injuries. Yamaguchi describes the bomb. 1 explosion, 1 flash, an entire city destroyed. His supervisor doesn't buy it. "1 bomb can't do that," he reportedly says. "You must be losing your mind." And right as he's mid-sentence, trying to describe the indescribable, the sky outside the window flashes white. Again. It's August 9th, 1945, 11:02 in the morning. A second American aircraft has just dropped a second bomb, this one nicknamed Fat Man, over Nagasaki. Tsutomu Yamaguchi has just survived his second atomic bombing in 3 days. 2 different cities, 2 different bombs, roughly 70 hours apart, and somehow he's still alive. Now, it's tempting to frame this as a lucky escape story. A man who cheated death twice. But that framing misses something important. Yamaguchi's injuries from Hiroshima never fully healed before Nagasaki added new ones. He lost hearing in one ear permanently. He developed cataracts and, decades later, cancer, conditions widely linked to radiation exposure among survivors. His wife, Hisako, was also caught in black rain from the Nagasaki blast while searching for him. Their son later developed health complications too. Surviving the blast wasn't the end of the story for any of them. It was the beginning of decades living with the consequences. Japan surrendered days after Nagasaki. The war ended. Yamaguchi went back to something resembling an ordinary life. He kept working as an engineer, raised his family, and for decades rarely spoke publicly about what he'd witnessed. Survivors of the bombings, known in Japan as hibakusha, often faced discrimination from employers, even from potential marriage partners, out of fear and misunderstanding about radiation. Many stayed quiet for that reason. But there was one detail that made Yamaguchi's case genuinely unique, something that took the Japanese government 64 years to officially confirm. For decades, plenty of people were known to have been in both cities during that period, but most left before or arrived after the blasts. Yamaguchi was different. He was confirmed to have been within the blast radius of both bombs on the actual days they were dropped. In March 2009, the Japanese government made it official. Tsutomu Yamaguchi became the only person formally certified as a double hibakusha, a survivor of both atomic bombings. By then, he was 93 years old, and one of his last public acts was using that unwanted title for something bigger than himself. He spent his final years campaigning for nuclear disarmament, telling his story to journalists, students, and eventually filmmakers, because he didn't want to be remembered as the man who survived 2 bombs. He wanted people to understand what those 2 words, atomic bomb, actually meant at ground level to real people. Not statistics, not strategy, people. Tsutomu Yamaguchi died on January 4, 2010, from stomach cancer. He was 93. Yamaguchi survived something almost no one in history has ever lived through. Twice. But maybe the most important part of his story isn't that he survived 2 bombs. It's what he chose to do with the borrowed time that followed, spend it making sure there wouldn't be a third. Sometimes surviving history means carrying its memory forward so that no one else has to live through it.